hearing on the writs filed against the recent government move to dissolve the lower house at the constitutional bench is yet to conclude. The crux of the hearing has unfortunately revolved around the role of the president, which, according to the legal practitioners, has failed to remain neutral and ceremonial as demanded by the constitutional guidelines. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. Legal practitioners on behalf of the petitioners conclude their hearing on the writs filed against the dissolution of the House of Representatives. Government attorneys to begin their hearing from today. Nepal imports 400 megawatts of electricity from India during this monsoon season as over a dozen hydropower projects fail to generate electricity amid damages triggered by water-induced disasters. The U.S. carries out another round of airstrikes against Iran-backed militia in Iraq and Syria in response to drone attacks against U.S. facilities in Iraq. And Belgium knock out defending champions Portugal at the Euro 2020. Czech Republic stunned the Netherlands in another pre-quarterfinal match. The preliminary hearings on behalf of the petitioners on the writs filed at the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court demanding the reinstatement of House of Representatives and to appoint Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba as the Prime Minister concluded yesterday. During their consecutive four-day hearing, lawyers raised questions on the President's role. More in this report.
During the hearing on Sunday, legal practitioners on behalf of the petitioners mainly argued on the role of the President, stating that subsection 1, 2 and 3 of Article 76 of the Constitution provisions the appointment of the Prime Minister on party basis. Senior advocate Savita Bhandari said that subsection 5 of the same article is the right of the lawmakers. Lawyer Bhandari demanded to appoint Sher Bahadur Deuba to the post of premiership, saying that Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli does not have the right to claim for the post or to dissolve the lower house based on Article 76(5) of the Constitution. Senior advocates Satish Krishna Kharel and Bhimarjan Acharya argued that Article 76(5) entrusts lawmakers to choose the Prime Minister independently, citing that Premier Oli does not have moral ground to retain the post as he could not secure the confidence vote from the lower house. They criticized the President for rejecting the claim of the opposition alliance for the post of premiership despite having the support of 149 lawmakers and accused the President of attempting to go against the Constitution. During Sunday's hearing, lawyers argued that the President does not have the right to assert on grounds to appoint the Prime Minister. Legal practitioners on behalf of the petitioners have wrapped up their hearings in 12 hours out of the allotted 15 hours, while the remaining 3 hours will be spent for response after hearings from the defendants. Following the conclusion of the hearing from the lawyers on behalf of the petitioners, legal practitioners from the government side will begin the hearing from Monday and have been allotted 15 hours to do so. Later, a 4-member amicus curiae will carry out the hearing in the allotted 2 hours. Once the hearing concludes, the bench will make its final verdict.
The COVID-19 death tally has surpassed the 9,000 mark as 34 more individuals succumbed to the virus yesterday. With this, the death tally has now reached 9,009, while the death rate now stands at 1.5%. Meanwhile, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has crossed 633,000 as 1,353 more individuals tested positive for the virus yesterday. The Kathmandu Valley alone reported 424 new cases. According to the Health Ministry, 6,000 tests through the PCR method were carried out, while the infection rate in the country now stands at 22.5%. Meanwhile, 3,007 individuals registered full recovery, taking the recovery tally to over 584,000, while the recovery rate stands at 92.2%. Based on the Health Ministry's report, currently there are 40,339 active cases, out of which 37,489 are in home isolation, 706 in intensive care units and 200 on ventilator support. The production of electricity in the monsoon season increases as most of the hydropower projects in the country are based on running water. Nepal had even exported surplus electricity to India during this period last year. However, this time around, the country has been importing more than 400 megawatts of electricity. More in this report.
More than a dozen hydropower projects were fully or partially affected due to the floods triggered by incessant rainfall at the beginning of this monsoon season. Generation of some 400 megawatts of electricity from government projects and almost 300 megawatts from private projects have been halted due to the floods. Kaligandaki, Trishuli, Marshangdi, among other mega projects which suffered damages by the floods have been facing problems even as they have already resumed their operations, while the production in private projects including Bhotekoshi and Jhimruk have also been halted. The country had imported 450 megawatts of electricity during the winter, which was later limited to 200 megawatts before the monsoon season. Nepal has the capacity of generating 1,600 megawatts of electricity during the monsoon season, while the consumption during this season remains at 1,300 megawatts, while the rest, more than 300 megawatts of electricity, is unconsumed. However, this year around, electricity generation has remained just over 900 megawatts, while the country is importing the remaining 400 megawatts of electricity from India due to the damages caused by the water-induced disasters. The Nepal Electricity Authority had exported 101 million units of electricity last year. As it is still uncertain when the projects damaged by floods and landslides will resume, chances of exporting electricity this year seems very slim.
Smuggling hasn't stopped in the country despite the closure of border points due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this context, in our Public Voice segment, we had asked the locals in Janakpur why hasn't smuggling stopped in the border regions. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
खेतीपातीको समय छ त्यो एउटा खादको बोरा ल्याउँदाखेरि पनि किसानहरूलाई चाहिँ धेरै दुःख दिन्छ धेरै सताउँछ अनि यो व्यापारीहरुसँग यो तस्करहरुसँग मिलेर तिनीहरुसँग काम गर्छ
हाम्रो बोर्डर पुरै बन्दै गरिदिनु पर्छ सबभन्दा पहिला कसैलाई पनि आवाज जावत नहोस् या त तस्कर होस् या आम जनता होस् जुन मूल्यमा नेपालमा पाइन्छ त्यो मूल्यमा नेपालमा किन्ने
प्रशासनले पनि घुस लिएर पैसा लिएर सामान पार गरिदिन्छ बाहिरको व्यापारीहरु यहाँबाट सामान पार्सल गर्छ
प्रशासनिक पदाधिकारीहरु छन् त्यसले तपाईको इमानदारी पूर्वक आफ्नो जवाबदेहिता निर्वाह गर्नुपर्छ त्यसको अलावे अरु कुनै उपाय छैन
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. Here's the question: what's your take on transferring the development budget to other headings and spending it towards the end of the fiscal year? Your options are A, to benefit cadres, B, violation of financial discipline, and C, attempt to show work. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for our special segment, Off the Beat. Farmers in Jumla have started the farming of Fuji apples in recent time. The Jumli farmers, who were known for the cultivation of traditional apples, have now also started commercial farming of this hybrid apples, speculating a higher profit. A farm to grow Fuji apples has been set up at Guthichor Rural Municipality in Kadakhola, Jaljala. The proprietor of Guthichor Agro Farm in Jumla, Meen Bahadur Bhandari, has planted some 30,000 saplings of Fuji apples. Bhandari says that the total investment has been 80 million rupees, while employment opportunities for some 300 youths have been created for the local residents. These local youths have been involving in the Fuji apple farming for the last 6 months. The local levels in Jumla has also extended helping hands to the project, while the Office of Agriculture Development has said that Jumla is now heading towards complete commercial farming of apples. A physically challenged miner who had been languishing in a kind of cage for the past 8 years in Pachthur's Hilihang Rural Municipality has been rescued by right activists. The 12-year-old Sushan Toklihang has been rescued by Child Helpline of Province 1. The boy, who has movement difficulty and lacks memory, has been shifted to a shelter home in Chapa. According to the relatives, Sushant had fallen sick at the age of 5 and his condition aggravated in the absence of proper treatment. This is Sarah Chitrakar for our special segment Off the Beat and Kantipur News Desk. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good day.